Welcome to the realm of magic and mystery, classic horror and sci-fi. You are now entering the House of the Unusual podcast with your hosts, Eddie and Joe. Welcome all you cool ghouls and friendly fiends. It's the House of the Unusual podcast. I'm your host, Joe Pavlansky. With me, as always, are my good buddies, Eddie Guevara, Chuck Caputo, and Cheri Caputo. What's up, everyone?
Hey, all right.
Hey, hello.
Hey, what's up?
I'm also here, Joe.
Who do we got here? Who is that? Michael Mesmer. What's up, Michael?
How are you, Michael?
Oh,
Glad to be with you.
Always pops out the ghost.
He popped in from parts unknown. All right, we got a full house today, and before we make our rounds to see what's new with everyone, I want to say real quick thank you to everybody out there for joining us on this podcast, whatever platform you're listening to. Please subscribe and give us a good review if you so choose. Also, head over to houseoftheunusual.com. That is our flagship site. We have a great forum there with lots of cool stuff going on. And, of course, as always, it is free to join. All right, we have mymoviemonsters.com. That is the home of Scary Monsters magazine and Castle of Frankenstein. So right now they're taking pre-orders for Scary Monsters number 130. It is the Scary Monsters Presents Monster Memories. It is a drive-in issue. Really cool cover by Scott Jackson once again. And they also have, I believe it's the Castle of Frankenstein number 37. It is George Pell's Lost Time Machine, and there is a pre-order for that as well. So they will be exploring George Pell's Lost Time Machine sequel and revisiting the legendary film produced 100 years ago. Another great cover by the team there at Scary Monsters. So again, that is mymoviemonsters.com. for all your Scary Monsters, Castle of Frankenstein, and plus they have tons of other cool magazines, model kits, toys, books, and all that dealing with classic monsters and all that stuff that we love. And I want to throw a huge shout out there and a call to action for Ski from Stupid Magazine. Ski, let us know on the forum what's going on with the magazine, because we have been anxiously waiting for the next issue to drop. Last time that we spoke with him last year, he said that they are revamping the mag a little bit. It's going to come out in a new format, and that's about all we know of it. So, Ski, if you're listening, hopefully you're listening out there, let us know on the forum. Please give us an update. We all want to know what's going to be going on with the magazine, when's the new one coming out, and what is this new format. So, guys, that's all I got on my end. Let's go around the room here and see what everybody's been going through, and I'm just going to go on how it's listed on my platform here on the computer. I'm going to start from the bottom, and I'm going to work my way up. So, Michael Mesmer, I'm going to start with you. Michael, thanks for joining us. What is new with you, and can you give us an update on your book or anything like that?
Well, I am in Southern California currently. I'm actually doing a lecture tonight in a place called in Rancho Cucamonga, California, a magic lecture. But I was really excited yesterday because I opened my front door and there was a big box there. Turned out it was my advanced copies of my ghost transfer book. And, you know, it was really emotional for me because it was a long time coming with all the years of doing ghost hunting, researching, and then a year writing the book. And to see it and open it, and there it was. There's actually 30 copies in there, and I opened it. Oh my gosh, it's so emotional just to have that book in my hand after all this time, because like a dream becoming reality, you know?
Wow. That's so awesome.
That's awesome. Congratulations on that. I know the feeling when all your hard work comes to fruition and you get that first set of, your author copies, 30 books, to your front door, and you're actually looking and you're going, it's almost like surreal. It's like, all that hard work, you put it together, you put it, all in the format that they wanted, on the computer. And then you're like, you just sit back, and then it's like a waiting game. It's like, okay, how is this going to turn out? Is this going to, did I do the right thing on this? And you start, at least for me, I started questioning myself, did I do enough on this? Did I add enough of this? Did I exclude something, and then when you see it, it's just like, everything kind of relaxes and you're like, oh, thank God. Did you have kind of like that same, thoughts about that whole process?
Yeah, in fact, I haven't even opened it yet. I'm the book itself. I held it in my hand, but I haven't even got to the point where I
Aw.
opened it. I'm just hesitant to do that yet.
Aw, that's so
But
cool.
I'm excited about it. I set up I'm doing a book signing at Barnes and Noble here next month, and so
Aw.
Nice.
and it's available on all major booksellers right now too for pre-sale. So I'm really excited. But again, it was so emotional because a lot of this, you know, Joe, because I had you take a look at an advanced copy, and it's very emotional for me because there's a lot of personal stories in there of mine. So
Yes.
it's a different kind of book because like a biography, it's sort of like a biography, but not, you know. So it's just really something. I mean, about my grandpa and all the things I wrote in there. So we'll see how people respond. I've had some good reviews from Joe and Eddie, and also from other paranormal groups that I have people that are reviewed it as well, and they're very happy with the way I handled all the paranormal investigations in the book, which is another thing because that's the technical side. So it's great to hear those things too.
You know, I reading through that, and I read through it relatively quick, and from the time that I usually have of reading,
Sure.
and I was really blown away by the information. First off, you know, you're talking about your early life with your grandpap and everything, and that was just I'm always amazed to, you know, hear people's, you know, stories about their lives, especially from this side, you know, the East Coast and, you know, the Appalachian Mountain areas, you know, because that's
Yeah.
where I'm at, and you know, Chuck and Cheri, we're all from that area, so we all, you know, it all kind of hits home to us because we either lived through that or we know people, you know, that lived through that, or we've seen it firsthand. So it's always great to read about those type of experiences. And you know, I loved hearing about, you know, your cruise ship experience, you know, going to cemeteries, bridges. And it was what really struck me, and what I don't like about watching a lot of these TV shows and
Yeah.
documentaries is the lack of respect that a lot
Yes.
of these people have when they're going into these different facilities or these different areas. And that's what struck me about your book and your stories, is how much, you know, respect you had for the dead, and almost treating them like they weren't dead, like they were just a person in like maybe another realm, but they were still here with us. And it was just like they weren't anybody different, which I'm sure, you know, that's something that they appreciated. And I don't want to go into too much detail, I don't want to ruin it for people out there, but
Yeah, but you know,
that,
you're right.
that
You're
was
right,
one of
Joe.
the things that's stuck with me.
Yeah, you know, I initially got, you know, very inspired as I wrote in the book because my daughter got into the ghost adventures with Zach Baggins. And so I thought, you know, it could be cool to do this because I've always had, as I mentioned in the book, always had a tendency to experience spirit activity. And so the deal is, though, that I don't believe that spirits are malevolent. I don't see it that way, as you read in the book. And I don't see them, you know, the thing is, the I think the ignorance of a lot of these people that do these ghost hunting shows where they're showing that they're scratching them and they're doing evil things to them. Why would we be the same when we're in our spirit form after we're enlightened and we realize that the world's different than what we thought it was? Even a murderer would be totally a different person once they go into spirit form, I believe. So that's been my experience. And that's why my book is a positive ghost hunting book rather than a negative book.
Right. I'm in the same camp as you. I don't believe that I do believe that there's positive and negative spirits. However, if, you know, and maybe those negative spirits of people that died from this world, but might be of something else. But, you
Right.
know, if you go into a house and someone has died in there, I don't believe that's a negative spirit.
No.
I believe that we can, that it's us, that we cause the negativity. And
Yes.
I think a lot of these people that go into these places, that they have this preconception that comes from watching decades of horror movies,
Yeah.
basically, you know, and they have this, that ghosts are malevolent, they're going to come and they're going to attack me, they're going to scratch me. If I play with the Ouija board, I'm going to be possessed. And it's, you know, we have this for everything. We kind of look at it through the lens of what we've seen on TV and through
Right.
movies.
Right. That's so true. And the thing is that I think in my experiences, as you read, I find that they just want to talk. They just want to communicate, or they want to feel like they're not alone, or they want a connection. And maybe they're still in between the two places. And they're looking for a little solace, a little company, maybe, if you will, in a strange sort of way. So that's my position. And so I never push them. I never try to get them unhappy, because if I were in that spot, maybe I'd be reaching out for some help or just to be able to, you know, finish some business.
Yeah, I mean, just treat them like just maybe how you would just want to be treated. You know, they're like you said that maybe they're caught in between worlds and they're looking for something. And why would you want to go out there and be disrespectful to them when it's just as easy or easier to be respectful in that
Absolutely.
sense.
So yeah, that's been my experience, and I think that's going to be the big difference in my book compared to many of the ghost hunting books out there.
Yeah, there was no negativity, there was no darkness to it. It was a very easy and light read, and it was quick. I had a great time with it. I was just kind of imagining, being there with you while you were at these different locations and seeing and feeling these different um sensations that you went through. It was really cool. I really enjoyed it. So
Well, I'm getting ready to restart my ghost hunting in April again in Texas, so I'm getting ready to go out and do some more. And but I have a lot of other stories that weren't even in the book. But again, Joe, like you said, I sort of geared it so that it would be an easy read. I didn't want it to be. I wanted it to be something you can maybe read on a flight. If you did a round trip flight, you could read the whole book on
oh,
a round,
absolutely, yeah.
and just make it an easy read and something to introduce people into ghost hunting in the spirit world, rather than being a hardcore long, something that took a little too much intense work to read, absorb. So hopefully I've achieved that, and that's what I hope. And I should mention my publishers, Fayetteville Mafia Press. They were so good to me this whole process, because as a new book writer, although I've, you and I both have written for Scary Monsters for years, but to do a book is a whole different, a whole different thing. And they were so supportive and so good. And I just really appreciate, David and Scott over there at Fayetteville Mafia Press for being as supportive as they were. And of course, Don and Vicky at Scary Monsters, very supportive of me in this endeavor. In fact, I'll have an excerpt from the book in issue 130 coming out, because they're trying to help me to promote the book. So I really appreciate all that they do for me. They're just amazing people.
Very awesome. So everyone out there, make sure you pick up Scary Monsters number 130, read that excerpt, and we'll also be keeping you updated when Michael's books will be hit. Do you know when when they'll be out at like Barnes and Nobles or on Amazon?
Yeah, they're released March 7th,
Okay,
and
perfect.
but you can pre-order now on any platform, whether it's Amazon, Target, Walmart. They're on all the book selling platforms. Even on eBay, there's like 4 different sellers on there selling it already. So they're on every platform. But of course, if you go to Fayette Press directly, well, that's good for them, because they'll make a few more dollars off of it. But it doesn't matter if you want to go to Amazon or whatever. Ghost Trance or A Hypnotist Among the Spirits, Michael Mesmer with a Z. And yeah, you can buy it just anywhere you want, wherever's convenient for you. And also, there's an ebook available too.
Very cool. So we are we're urging everybody out there in our community. We always support everybody in our community. So please go out there to wherever you shop for your books, purchase Michael Mesmer's book, give it a good review. You're gonna absolutely love it. And then hey, head over to our forum at House of the Unusual and let us know what you think of the book on there, and we'd love to hear from you. So very cool, Michael. I'm very excited about the book, and again, congratulations on it.
Yes.
And
Thanks to you and Eddie too for being so kind to me in regard to the book as well.
yeah, absolutely. Hey, we're gonna turn it over to Chuck and Cheri, and I know before we were talking on here, you guys have said you went for a little walk, 3-mile walk. Have been through a cemetery.
Yeah, it was
Of course.
Awesome.
Oh boy.
it was a 3-mile windy walk with
It was windy, but
with her daughter-in-law and her dog.
yeah, her
And,
dog Chance.
so we walked 3 miles, so that was really cool. What we try to get, Cheri tries to get 10,000 steps
I
a day,
try.
on her Fitbit, so that worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
The other big thing I wanted to mention was, I don't know, I'm following in the footsteps of Eddie. I got a storage unit.
One.
Uh-oh.
Just one.
Before it starts.
Now it starts.
Yeah, just one storage unit for all my magic, and I'm putting shelves in right now, the snap together stand up kind, and where you have a rug, and it's gonna look cool. It's gonna look like a magic shop. I don't want it cluttered. I'm gonna kind of put it on both sides, all my collectible stuff.
It's gonna look like a little magic
It's
shop.
gonna look like a magic shop, and there's gonna be a backdrop where we will be filming all the upcoming Chuck's Corners and so
Oh,
forth.
cool.
And so it'll be pretty cool. And then behind the backdrop, that's like the last 1/3 of the unit. It'll be all the boxes and totes and everything that'll be out of sight. So it should be pretty cool. So we're looking forward to this. We're just taking our time, and so that way it'll be in one place. So that's like 55 years of magic
Ooh,
apparatus or
love
Now,
whatever.
you know where this leads to, Cheri. In a couple years, he's gonna be like, I just got my third storage unit.
Hey, he can have as he wants as long as he
As
pays
long
for
as I pay for it. But,
We got a second mortgage the house to pay for my storage units.
because you know
I
what,
know, right?
it's been getting crazy over here. I mean, I have a couple rooms
Yeah.
that are cluttered up, so she's been very patient, which I
Very.
appreciate that.
Thank you.
You know, she's been very understanding.
And I'm helpful too.
Yeah, she's very helpful.
I'm helping to decorate it. I give it a woman's touch.
Yeah, so
The rug.
so I'm kind of looking forward to that.
Yeah.
You know, I was thinking about my own storage units, but we were talking about possibly putting an addition on top because we got my wife and I, you know, and she works part-time at Barnes and Nobles, but
Yeah.
both of us are huge book lovers, so we have probably 25 bookshelves,
Wow.
bookcases in the house, just
Ooh.
filled with different books. So I told her, I said, you know, eventually maybe this summer we're going to put on an addition, and I want to put it, you know, 2 different rooms. One like a kind of like a workout weight room for her because she does a lot with fitness and personal training and nutrition. And
Nice.
then I want the other one to be a library of just
Oh.
wall-to-wall books, 2 nice little chairs in there,
That would be nice.
a little table, and just all of our books. And that will create so much more room in the house. Because I figured, you know, if we, you know, I like storage units, but I like my stuff, you know, kind of around me, you know,
Yes.
close, and I don't have storage units close to where I'm at.
Right.
Oh yeah.
So I want, like, I like
Yeah.
my stuff in the house. So I said, you know, let's do an addition, and we could, you know, we're both avid readers and collectors of books. So we could do, you know, half a workout place, half a library, and keep all our books there.
Yeah. Hey,
That's
whatever.
a good compromise.
Yeah, whatever works for you. You know what? And we're getting. I mean, you know, we're getting a little older now, so it's like to the point where we're undecided what we're gonna do. You know, sometime in the future, maybe sell the house, move to like a little apartment or something like that. So that way, there's
Downsize,
no
yeah.
downsize. So there's no clutter. All my stuff will be under one place. You know, Cheri will have the key. You know what? If something happens to me, you know what? You guys will be here before I hit the floor.
Oh, don't say that.
Well, me and Eddie will be at your storage unit with a crowbar, and we'll have one of those ski masks on. We'll be trying to, you know, crowbar the like. We got to get Chuck's stuff.
Well, hey, the other thing I wanted to mention is Cheri she had success with the sea monkeys, and so she's done a periodical type of a thing, I guess, for the last 3 weeks or so, right?
A couple weeks I
so,
did,
so
yeah.
go ahead and tell them.
Oh yeah. So I just sent the video over to Eddie, so he will be able to put it on his site, the House of Unusual.
Yeah, or on YouTube as well. So.
Oh, however he does it,
Yeah.
yes. And then that way everyone can see the gradual progression of my little venture here with my.
That sounds cool.
I know. Oh my gosh, Michael, I'm so excited.
Did you name them?
I'm ready to, because there's about 4 or 5 of them now.
I know a few. I'm going to throw this out there, Cheri. I know a few names you could use: Eddie, Joe, Chuck, Michael. I'm just saying, you know, those are some names you could just to throw them out there. You know,
Oh my gosh.
I'm going to throw it out to you. You could either catch it or throw it back. You know what I mean?
I know, Joe. I just was envisioning you guys swimming, and I was watching them swim just now, and I could just envision each one with your different face.
Oh
on
yeah,
there.
one has a Joe head, the other one an Eddie,
An
a
Eddie
Michael.
head, a Michael head.
And I'm sure on Etsy you could find like a miniature podcasting platform and just put it on the bottom. That way the Sea Monkey Joe, Eddie, Chuck, Cheri, and Michael could all podcast underwater.
Man.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, this turned out to be a cute little video, and she's
you'll be able to see it.
And she had edited it all, so it fits together really cool. And we also filmed an upcoming Chuck's Corner, which is going to be not there. There's one more still in queue, but then there'll be the next one after that. Eddie has a nice spin. It's going to be called Who Killed Houdini? Yeah. So he has a pretty cool picture he's going to incorporate in there, and I did some spooky stuff with a spirit bell and all kinds of neat things. So that'll be an upcoming Chuck's Corner, not this one coming up Friday, but it should be the following one. So if any of the viewers would like to check it out, it'll be pretty interesting.
And Chuck, is that all going to be on House of the Unusual YouTube page?
Yes, that's correct. Eddie will
Perfect.
upload. You know what? Because we send him the raw footage through his Google Drive, I believe, and then
he does whatever he does with it.
Yeah, then he'll.
And then I'm going to send him. I also did some pictures of the sea monkeys.
Sea monkeys.
Yeah. So I'll send those to him as well. He could put them wherever he wants to.
Yeah.
On the
Very, very cool. Well,
yeah.
I'm glad they all came out successfully. You seem to have more success than I did with this.
Yeah, you know what? Mine never came to fruition. Years ago, I tried. I even put an air pump in there.
Yeah, he worried me
with
about
the
that
hose.
'cause
I
don't
think
have it.
I think my brothers survived. They hatched, and he literally put them in beer. I mean, he threw it. Yeah, he threw them in like a cup of beer, and they grew. It was
Oh
unbelievable.
my God.
They were just drunk the whole time.
Yeah,
Yeah, sea monkeys fighting in there.
knocking their teeth out.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. It's amazing.
You see them fighting and then hugging. I love you, man. I love you.
Man, I love you.
Oh, that's great. Well, it sounds like a good time. I can't wait to see the
Yeah.
photos and video and all that. And maybe
Yeah.
will push me to redo my Sea Monkeys yet. So
Get yours going. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
yeah, very cool. All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna turn it over to the one and only Eddie Guevara and see what's going over at House of the Unusual proper. So Eddie, what's new?
Hey, how are you guys? How's everybody? Good. And congratulations, Mike.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mike, it's kind of funny when you said about and I'll mention this first, the price of the book. When you actually publish a book, even if you kind of self-publish it, and you get one of these distributors to distribute the book for you, and it's even worse when you are having a publisher for you. Say, for example, a good example, say you sold the book for $60 and it got sold off the actual page where you're publishing, like the extra website they give you, that they actually give you, like, let's say $60, because I got a quote recently. It really shocked me. You make about $28 a book. The rest goes to the publisher, and then when they sell it through Barnes and Noble, or if they sell it through anywhere online that's not the publisher itself, you only get about $3 or $4 for a $60 book. I do understand where you're coming from. If people buy better from the site itself, it might help the publishers better.
Right.
You know what I mean? Now, the other thing I was going to say, when you're saying about what's going on and stuff, I have been working on a lot of promotional ideas. And right now, if you guys go to the YouTube channel, I am playing around with one little aspect of promoting. I'm going to see how it works out for the next 5 days. It's only a 5-day promotion on the growth of the channel. And other than that, I was going to also say congratulations, Cheri.
Thank you.
The fact that the Sea Monkeys, which is still surprises me, you got a pretty good response. The last video you put, but I would recommend, Chuck, if you have a chance, go to the forum too, and do post on the forum and also the blog, or what is it? Because on the website we have a forum, and what's the other thing we have, Joe?
There's the blog section, which is for individual.
Right.
If you want to post, but even in the forum, I know in the forum section there's still a Sea Monkey thread on there. I don't know if it's the first page or the second page, but
Would that be for pictures, Eddie, or?
Yeah, no, I was saying to put some of the pictures. I mean, I'm going to include some, but this way you can put your first account story of it, and people can obviously, that's going to go to a lot of the people, because we have been picking up quite a few subscribers actually.
Awesome.
And and they could see it, because the moment you put in the forum, anybody who's on the site, I think automatically gets an alert on the on their side that somebody posted.
Oh, nice.
That's right. Now, the other thing I wanted to ask you guys is, and I'm a big Johnny Depp fan, and then again, I'm only a big Johnny Depp fan after Pirates of the Caribbean. Prior to that, I really didn't care much about Johnny Depp. Just like same thing with the Blacklist. James Spader, prior to that, as a kid, grew up watching many films with him in it. I never cared for him. Now I love him to death with the Blacklist, and that's something I'm actually anticipating, because it's supposed to go on, I think, January 23rd or 28th. I'm sorry, February. And I don't understand why they waited so long to put the entire season, because it's going to be 22 episodes. And they're starting so late, so I'm assuming they're not going to take any winter or something hiatus like they always do. But did anybody see The Astronaut's Wife, the movie from 1999 or something like that, with Johnny Depp?
I did not.
No.
No.
Me neither. I did not either.
let me tell you something. This movie, and I've mentioned a couple of times, Ex Machina, or what is it called, Joe? Ex Machina or
Ex Machina.
Ex Machina, right? That movie is slow, but it has a great plot. You can get off watching it, and you're like, why am I even watching it? And somehow it grabs you onto the seat. I mean, the ending could have been just a tad bit better. And what I'm saying by that is, I don't know if anybody's here. I don't want to really give off the ending, but I was hoping of a little better return. But with the astronaut's wife, it's a slow. I mean, Johnny Depp and the girl that played there with him did a marvelous role. But the movie itself, I basically, it was dragging on so much that I think when I was into the movie about 35, 40 minutes, which it pissed me off that I waited that long, I fast forwarded to the end just because I was reading, I think it was not Rotten Tomatoes, but I was reading online, and behold, it said the whole thing, and I'm like, what? That it was going to drag on for the entire almost 2 hours, and then it had like a kind of stupid ending nobody was looking forward to. And they were saying how good Johnny Depp did a role on it, but the writers just made a mistake there. And anyway, so I fast forwarded to the end, and I'll just say what the movie's about. It's about Johnny Depp plays an astronaut. They're out in space. His wife is a school teacher, so he calls his wife down on the phone from space, and he talks to her for like 15 seconds, and then when she goes home, whatever it says, breaking news, and she's trying to tune in to see what happened. Apparently, there's an explosion in space. They're doing a spacewalk in the space station, whatever. And for 2 minutes, they don't find them. But then when they do find the two astronauts, they come, they're able to bring them back down to Earth, and they do survive. And apparently, they came back a little different. I don't want to say in case anybody wants to watch it, but it got only 2 stars.
Oh boy!
Online, and I'm telling you, apparently it's been around for a long time.
It sounds a lot. The plot you just described sounds a lot like an Outer Limits. I remember actually.
Yeah.
This plot it's okay, the idea and everything behind it, but it really, because the thing that gets me the most is that the girl that plays the wife, when they're trying to warn her that there's something different about Johnny. Whatever his name is in the thing. She just like gets upset, and she doesn't. You know what I'm saying? Like it drags on. They could have made it a better writing, where she could have been suspicious or stuff, but instead she plays like a stupid part altogether, or where she doesn't want to hear nothing about it. She comes out pregnant, and then she's getting afraid of what is wrong with John? Why is he changing? And the old thing and of course they put something that everybody's going to know, an alien somewhere, but. The whole thing is that the movie, to be honest with you, it was such a crappy movie. I feel like just blasting out the ending right now.
Hey, I on another note, but it related to movie stuff. I don't know if you guys heard this, but for Monster Kids in the audience, Raquel Welch passed away.
Oh, did she?
Really?
I didn't know that.
No way.
Oh.
And we loved her in 1,000,000 Years BC. That poster of her.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, Fantastic Voyage. She was incredible in that wetsuit, And but she was 82, and she just passed away this morning she had a short-term illness, and then she died. I can't believe that because she seems so vibrant. I've seen her recently, fairly recently, but I mean, Joe, can you ever forget 1,000,000 Years BC?
That was cool.
No, absolutely not. I don't think any guy out there could with that little outfit that she wore. And I tell you what, she's still up to when she was 82 years old when she passed away, and she still looked absolutely gorgeous. She took
absolutely, and
very good care of herself, and was from what I've read about her and heard in interviews, that she was just like one of the nicest, most down to earth people you would ever want to meet.
That's nice.
She was. A lot of people know she was of Mexican heritage.
Really?
I didn't know that.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah.
Very cool.
But boy, I love Fantastic Voyage too. That was one that just opened my mind to so many ideas and possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm shocked that you told me that. Of course, I do have the comic book Raquel Welch pillow. But one of the things that I really blew my mind, what you just said right now, is that I did see her in an interview a few months ago, about a year ago,
Mm-hmm.
I got to tell you, this girl, from her legs to her body, she was phenomenal. I mean, you would never even think she was 82. She looked more like 60, not even 60, to be honest.
Wow.
For her to have died, and especially since she was pretty well into the exercise, and
Yes.
everybody, I don't know if people remember, Raquel Welch was big in the 80s with a lot of her exercise videos and stuff. And I'm kind of surprised that she did pass away at kind of a young age.
Yeah.
It really, for her, it is. Yeah, because she seemed like 60, even though she maybe 50, late 50s, early 60s, rather than 82. In fact, hard to even 82, to be honest.
Wow, that's amazing.
And you know what? She really, like, even in recent years, I remember I saw her on TV. She was really a very health fanatic wise person.
Yeah.
I mean, she
Stayed healthy and
I mean, worked out, exercise like you wouldn't believe.
honestly.
Well, the guy that was interviewing her was a guy probably in his 50s or 60s, whatever. I forgot his name. It was a British show, I think. And the guy didn't really he was so overwhelmed with her that he was stuttering as he tried to ask her questions. And this is only a few months ago. And I mean, I'm talking about, she was there and I'm like, wow, she's beautiful. She's more beautiful now than she was when she was young.
Yeah.
Well, you know, these classic female stars, many of them do keep themselves up amazingly. I mean, Barbara Eden would be another one that comes to mind. She still looks incredible, and she's like 83 or whatever she is. And I mean, I sat next to her for lunch one day, and she looked just like she did in I Dream of Jeannie. I mean, she was just phenomenally looking. So many of them do that. Then there's others that don't keep themselves up, and they just show how aging really is. But Raquel Welch, this blows my mind.
It seems like this year we've been losing a lot of prominent people. And I tell you what, another one that I just found out a couple of days ago that he died on February 5th was Chris Brown, who him and his brother did Hagar the Horrible of from the comic strip.
Yeah.
And he was still young too. I believe he was like 72. I'm just looking online now, 70 years old. And you know, I don't know who's going to take over the comic strip or anything, or you know, how much he still was involved with it.
Right.
But you know, we're losing. It just seems like, you know, a lot of people we've lost. You know, Bobby Hall, David Crosby a couple days ago.
Yeah, this is a rash. This has been a rash of top Hollywood people dying. You're right. Wow.
And you know, when you look at that stuff, you know, you look at these guys that they have the money. You would think they would eat healthy. You think they got the best lifestyle, and they're dying. Take for example, Elvis, 42 years old. That's crazy.
Michael, 52, all of them. Yeah.
Yeah, Michael Jackson, 50. Yeah, it's insane. And but the thing that really, you know, you kind of threw me back now with Raquel, because I not that I liked her as much, whatever, or I would have whatever. But Raquel Welch, the thing about it is that she reminds me so much of the comic book novelty mail order thing. And I think in my mind, a piece of that just died, because Raquel Welch pillow was an Honor House itself was always advertised in all the ads.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Is that pillow where she's leaning on it's an inflatable pillow, and she's leaning on it's a small staircase.
Oh yeah.
You know, the folding weight staircase, whatever. And it says, what man wouldn't want to have his own whatever, Raquel Welch? And that ad always stood out. And in fact, the Mail Order Mysteries book, when it came out, one of the things that me and Kirk did is we literally spent 2 days looking for that pillow. And
Eddie, I'm gonna read real quick. I just found the advertisement.
Oh wow.
It's absolutely fantastic. I'm gonna read it here. And so it shows this huge pillow with Raquel Welch standing there in a one-piece bathing suit, holding onto a stool. It says Raquel Welch pillow, only $198. What man wouldn't enjoy spending a night with Raquel Welch? Well, we can't deliver her, but we can deliver the next best thing. A 12-inch by 24-inch inflatable pillow of Raquel made of rugged vinyl to serve as your headrest. Keep her for yourself or show her to your friends. Livens up party when everyone sees and feels this great gag item. Only $1.98.
Oh my gosh.
You know something funny? That pillow, I don't know where I got it from. I mean, I bought it, 30 years ago. But I gotta tell you, it's actually in mint condition, has never been blown up. And I have it in a poster tube. Like, I folded it into a tube and it's there. And it's in awesome condition. But I'm gonna tell you something though. I've never seen another one on eBay or anywhere, which is so crazy. But yeah, you just read right now, honestly, I could say I got hurt with the news. It actually kind of killed my mail order a little bit, but that ad is one of my favorite. That's crazy.
I don't think I've ever seen that one. Unless I did, I glanced over it, but that's really kind of almost kind of weird, I guess.
Yeah,
Hey guys, look what I got. Raquel Welch, what's her pillow? But
wrapped around my neck.
That they wrote that ad, the innuendos,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, if you
I just wanted to bring up, going back to Johnny Depp real quick. There's two movies that I really liked from him. One was Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. That was really,
yeah, that was a nice
yeah,
movie.
we took our kids to see that at an actual drive-in, if you could find that hard to believe. Yeah, it was at a drive-in about 20 years ago, huh, Cheri?
Oh yeah.
And yeah, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and I believe Johnny Depp played with Heath Ledger in the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus. That was cool.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite movies. Like
That's so cool.
yeah, the whole ambiance about that movie is just so cool.
Johnny Depp is such a double-edged sword, because for every good movie he has, there's 5 that are really insane and bizarre and don't make
right.
I mean, I as a Dark Shadows fan, and Joe, you'll relate to this. For me, when they did the Dark Shadows film with him, it was just a travesty, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Michael, I didn't even watch. I couldn't even watch the new one. I seen I remember when it first, you seen the trailers online and all that, or on TV. Yeah. And I looked at it, and I think I just stared at the screen for like 5 minutes after this. And you got to be kidding me.
Yeah, I know.
There's no way I could watch this, and I couldn't watch and now, mind you, I do like some of the stuff that he did. Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, Pirates of the Caribbean, he's brilliant.
Great movies. Yeah. And I couldn't. There was no way I could watch the Lone Ranger movie with him as Tonto.
No, horrid.
Yeah.
I can't do it. And I tried to it was a couple of years ago on TV. It was on, and I made it maybe 3 minutes into the movie. I said, I can't. I gave it the old college try.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. Just couldn't do it.
Well, Joe, if you're a Lone Ranger fan, did you like the Clinton Spilsbury film that they did?
When was that?
That was back in the late 70s, early 80s, and they had him, and I think Stacy Keach had to do the voiceover for the voice of the Lone Ranger because the guy's voice wasn't good. And it's actually very much like the classic Lone Ranger films, but I just wondered what your opinion was. I guess
I don't think I don't recall ever watching that.
I've seen called The Legend of the Lone Ranger, I think.
I've seen all the serials, the original, TV show run, and then I listened to as many as I could find of the old time radio programs. But I believe someone told me last year at Monster Bash last June about that, and I must have forgot about it, because I at the time when I was talking, it was actually Martin Grams. He wrote a very good reference for Lone Ranger for the early old time radio show, and
oh wow,
I was talking to him about it, and I think he asked me if that must be the same one, because I told him, I said no, I never seen it. He goes, oh, you got to watch it, it's really good, and I must have forgot about it. What's the name of it again?
I think it's called The Legend of the Lone Ranger. I actually have a couple action figures from that film.
What's the year of that? Is that 81?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, I'm looking it up right now. I'm gonna have to make a note of this.
And I think it stars Clinton Spilsbury, and I can't remember. Yes. But I know that when you watch it, it's not his voice, because his voice wasn't strong enough for the film. So they hired Stacy Keach, who I guess he married to James Seymour actually, but he did the voiceover for all the Lone Ranger stuff. He looped it.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the photos. I don't believe I've ever seen this, unless maybe sometime during the late 80s or early 90s I watched it, because I've been a Lone Ranger fan since probably around the 80s, but I don't remember ever seeing it. So I'm gonna have to make a note to make sure I watch it, because what's that?
It's more similar to the classics, so I think you'll enjoy it.
Okay, yeah, and I love the classics. I loved all the serials, and I absolutely I love the radio programs. They're so action packed and just fun to listen to. And like I said, I'll have to look up what Martin Grams's book is, but it's all of, there were some lost old time radio shows of the Lone Ranger, and he really, I mean, this book is humongous. It's like 800 pages, and he
Wow.
really digs into the history of
Wow.
it. And it's anybody out there that's a Lone Ranger fan, I would advise to look up Martin Grahams Jr. You could look him up on Amazon and find his Lone Ranger book. It's fantastic, and he's done other ones about the same size, 800 or so pages, of the Shadow and of the Green Hornet as well.
Oh, wow.
You know, Joe and you guys, you just reminded me, Amazon keeps delaying the shipment of that book that I bought from Lon Chaney Sr.
Oh,
After Midnight. I'm beginning to wonder, Joe, if it's ever going to even get to me. Because I've heard similar situations. There was one guy that he bought all the, it's supposed to be like it's selling now for like $80. Whoever got him, but it's supposed to be all the cover artwork from Goosebumps. And he paid for this book like $30-40, and he waited for 4 months and finally canceled because the book never came. Now they're telling me I'm going to get the book between February 28th and March 18th. So I have a feeling that this book is never going to get here. But anyway,
I would maybe contact them because, like I said, I know that they were going through some issues with the binding. So maybe that the people that ordered it when they already, before they took it off, they're going to get the new binding maybe. But if it doesn't come then, I would definitely, cancel it and kind of just wait to see if they're going to update it on Amazon. From what I've been reading is that they're just waiting to find someone that could do the book better than what Amazon's binders did, because they just were falling out.
Well, the problem is that it's Amazon's binding from Europe. It's not the one from the US. So if you buy, that's the only problem. But you know what I think it is? It could be Black Ops, because I keep getting helicopters flying. I'm wondering if there's something behind the book,
You know that London After Midnight was actually originally called The Hypnotist when it was first being made, because he does hypnosis in it.
You know what? I kind of heard about that, Mike.
Yeah, I've got actually a real still from that film from the studio that under it says The Hypnotist and not London After Midnight.
Oh wow, that's nice. You should send me a picture that. I'd like to see that. And in fact, that would be a nice thing to put in the forum, Mike. That little tidbit, I'm sure people don't know about.
Yeah, Mike, just send me the photo. I'll make sure that I put it on.
Yeah, send him the actual photo.
Send me the original. I'll take good care of it.
Right.
Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah, put it on the forum. I'd love to see what that photo looks like, because I know that this book, it has I think there's 8 unreleased stills. So it would definitely be really cool to see that. But
okay, I'll scan it and get it to you. I also have a little thing that's a postcard film that says The Hypnotist under it. So I'll take a photo. It's fading sadly, but I'll take a photo of both and I'll get it to you.
I'll tell you.
I don't want to get too much on London After Midnight because we discussed it a lot last week, but we are talking about some ghost stuff and cemeteries and horror movies. So have anybody out there seen any recently good movies, whether they be contemporary or classic in the realms of horror or sci-fi lately?
Let me bring this into the table when you said that about movies, and I'll say something real quick, not to change that conversation, but when you guys mentioned Johnny Depp, and when you guys, Johnny Depp, some of his movies, like you did say, Edward Scissorhands, whatever, kind of really stunk. But I got to tell you, though, he killed it in The Pirates. You can't get a better Johnny Depp.
Oh, yeah.
He makes that movie.
He does.
Oh, yeah. He's the
But
best.
with horror films, Joe, I got to be honest with you. I think there's kind of a stalemate in that, because if you look on television and stuff about upcoming movies and stuff, I haven't really seen the last 2 months or so any type of horror film coming out.
No, we haven't really seen anything either.
No, the last we watched was
I think
The
it's
Creature.
Well, there's a new series with Sarah Michelle Gellar on Paramount Plus, and I can't remember the name of it. I think it's called something Wolf. It's about werewolves, and then also they have the Teen Wolf movie on there. That's the new Teen Wolf movie based off their more recent TV series. So a couple of werewolf stories that are interesting. I was watching them the other night, and of course I'm a fan of the classics, so it's always hard to adapt to ideas, but I love Sarah Michelle Gellar from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So I can't remember the name of her I can't remember the name of the new series, but it's called Wolf something on Paramount Plus. And then the new Teen Wolf movie also is very good. And so if you like werewolves, there's 2 new werewolf offerings on Paramount Plus right
Now,
now.
did you say Teen Wolf? Is it a movie or is it another serial? Because that's the problem with the things that are happening today. Even they have a vampire one. It said Dracula or something, and I went to watch it. It's a freaking weekly show.
Yeah,
There's
no,
not-
there was a Teen Wolf series that was based off of the original with from back to
Michael
the
Fox, yeah.
Michael J. Fox.
so there, but there was a new series more recently, and now because it was so popular, about 6 or 7 years, they came back and made a film, which is now on Paramount Plus. It's a one-time film on there.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, it doesn't seem like it's that great of a film if they put it on television before releasing
Well,
it.
with the streaming services, it is, because I watched 1923, which is a Yellowstone sequel, and it has Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren. I watched Tulsa King that has Sylvester Stallone. They're both TV series on Paramount Plus, so they have some high grade TV things going on that are equal to movies.
Yeah. One of the actors from Yellowstone, I think, passed away about a week ago. Mentioning that now.
Yeah, that's true.
I forgot. Now I haven't watched Yellowstone. I do kind of like the actor from that film a little bit. I think he's not going to be on Yellowstone anymore though, or something. So I didn't get to watch it. I didn't start watching it, but that's the only thing that I get turned off a lot is that most of the stuff when you want to watch like a film, it turns into a series, and then you
Yeah.
gotta.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And like La Brea, have any of you guys watched La Brea?
No.
I watched the first couple episodes. Yeah.
What's that?
Okay. Yeah, the second season took out forever. It took like 2 years to come out. They already did. They played 9 episodes of the second season. And the thing that blows my mind about the show is that every 2 weeks when they play, they stop for like a week or two. They're
Yes.
pushing it out. And I mean, it's only like 10 or 11 episodes per season.
Right.
This year, they're going to make a couple more on season 2. And then the show is kind of like, it's a nice show. It has a lot of kind of stupid things. It's kind of a show that you want to watch. It's not that bad, but it's really, they're dragging out that show, man.
Yeah,
Well,
you know what? We like that. We like
go
the show
ahead.
You, and we've been watching You.
Uh,
And they finally
so
came
happy
out with
about it.
another season. It took like 2 years. I mean, I don't know what the heck.
Well, the thing is, the season now is 10 episodes. When we were growing up, Gunsmoke would be 29 episodes.
You're
That's a season. Now a
Yeah.
season is a third of a season.
You're right.
Exactly.
You're right. You're right, Michael.
Yeah, but usually with the season on a lot of these shows that go 10 episodes, they're usually an hour. So, if you break that up, what was, like a lot of the well, I even know some classic shows that went, 45 minutes an hour, went 20 to 30 episodes, but it seems like now you get 10 episodes of, anywhere from 40 to 60 minutes, and then you got to wait 2-3 years for
It's
the second season to come. Like with Stranger Things, in between each
Right.
season, you're waiting 2-3 years or so.
Oh
That's
yeah.
crazy.
And by that time you forgot what happened.
Exactly.
Yeah, the Game of Thrones, was the same way. And it seems like all these. That's why it's tough for me to get invested in any of these new series, because you get invested in it and then you never know if it's going to be canceled. Because I've been watching series and then all of a sudden, it sets it up for a third season and then they cancel it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or you're waiting 2 or 3 years for the next season to come, and then, like you said, Chuck, by the time you get to it, you're like, "Oh, I don't remember that.
I don't
Who's this
remember.
person?"
You know something I want to tell you guys, Joe. And another thing about it is, a year ago or 2 years ago, maybe 3 or 4, let's put, when they started with the Blacklist and Game of Thrones, man, they were writing this episode so phenomenal that it changed television. It made the television better than the theater. And then all of a sudden they're getting lame again. I guess it's like anything; they're running out of ideas.
You run out of ideas, definitely.
Yeah, but that's the whole thing. Like you said, you get vested on this thing, and then the stupid idiots put months and months in between. Like I asked myself, the Blacklist was one of the biggest thing for NBC. Why
Yes.
does NBC delay so much the start of the 10th season? Which, I mean, I'm already surprised that they actually, because I thought once Elizabeth King had died in the show, I thought it wasn't going to last. But they went a whole season with James Spader. It was really good. In fact, it was so good, not only they survived, but they signed on an entire new season. And now they're starting like at the end of February. That just doesn't make sense. And they're
But,
still.
Eddie, when they lost Liz and they lost her husband, they lost a big chunk of what was going on in that story. And yes, you're right. The episodes were good after it, but it was still missing that element, because it's sort of like, there was a show, Moonlighting, with Bruce Willis
Oh,
I
and
remember that.
I want,
once they were together and they weren't at odds anymore, once they, on shows where they get married or when they get together, it's like this with Liz dying, that whole kind of emotional impact to the side story, and it took a lot away from it, I felt, although I still like the new episodes, but it missed an element now, that whole story, that whole thing with her maybe being his daughter, maybe not, and the whole thing, it really lost, and they didn't really finish it in a way that you felt satisfied with it.
Well, yeah, and kind of what's crazy about that also, what you're saying is that there's still, I mean, I have no idea what the 10th season is even going to be about, but one of the things about it though, James Spader is that good. That he
Yes.
can make the season. Now, why would Elizabeth King, which makes me want to laugh, because he's a girl who has had no prior, she's got very few films to her credit.
Right.
She doesn't, and she leaves the show, and now she died altogether. Like, she was going to start. She hasn't started anything. So it's like I said to myself, they go out, they get a little too big in their head, because she was complaining like towards the end, and a lot of, I mean, I don't know how true it is, but she was complaining that James Spader was always the head of the show, and that. But the whole thing is, you got to remember this: James Spader has been around since freaking the beginning of time.
Yes.
He's the biggest star they got on the show, so of course they're going to put emphasis on him. He's an Academy Award winner.
Right.
So the point is, if you're there and this is your livelihood, and you know how they say actors are never employed, because actors are always getting. So if you got a thing going and you're getting paid and people are getting to know who you are, why did she quit? Just like a lot of the guys that have quit, and they're saying like Iran just quit a thing for the 10th. This people, in all honesty, are just probably going to die off completely.
Well, what happens is they get people around them, their agents, everything. Well, we can get this, we can get that, and they push it a little far, and then they lose everything because their ego takes over. And it's like, well, we could get you a better deal. You could do this. You could have your own series. Which, with the guy that was her husband, he did have that really good series that he followed up with as a doctor, and it did work out for him. But generally speaking, it's a crapshoot. There's so many pilots that are shot every year, thousands of them or hundreds of them, and only a few get picked up. So when you get on a hit series, better stay with it, because it's the residuals that are going to take care of you when you're 70 and 80 and film roles.
You're exactly right, Michael. Way back on the Three's Company days, they offered Norman Fell and Audra Lindley to go on their own. Remember, they had I think it lasted one season. It was called The Ropers.
oh yeah.
And if they would have stuck with the Three's Company like they originally were, you know what I mean, that would have really helped them out for a lifetime. Of course, there was one silver part to the lining. Don Knotts came in afterwards, so he kind of saved the whole show.
Oh, he was great. Yeah,
Don Knotts killed it. But you know something, now that you said that, with the Ropers, I forgot, but there was a spin-off of The Blacklist, which was the one that played Elizabeth King's husband's mom. What was it? What was that one called?
I forget, but it had them in Russia or something with
well, the whole point is that I thought it would last, because it was not that bad. I watched it, but then it just didn't take off. It died completely.
Exactly.
And this girl, go ahead.
The classic actors understood this, because they didn't have the residuals that actors have now. So when they would get a series, they'd hang on to it. For instance, we were talking about werewolves a while ago. Chuck Connors, how many of you remember him in the TV series Werewolf?
Oh.
Chuck Connors? Werewolf?
No, I don't.
I just know him as the Rifleman.
Okay, Chuck, had a peppered career after Rifleman. Of course, he was really amazing in Roots, but he was really, really evil in that. I don't know if you remember his character in that, but he was extremely, horrible in that, raping and doing things. And it was totally opposite, Lucas McCain. But, when Fox was trying to get going in the early days and doing their shows, before X-Files and things like that, they always did try to do supernatural shows, and Werewolf was one of them. And Chuck Connors was Janos Skorsny in it, and he actually was an evil werewolf in that show. He had a eye patch. It was an awesome series. In fact, recently I found it online, which is almost hard to get, and it's not authorized, but I got a copy of all 11 and a half hours of the series, and he's really good as the evil werewolf in it.
I never
But
heard. I think I've seen. I never heard it, but I can tell you one thing. Do you guys remember him on Branded, right?
yes.
Yeah.
I only remember him as the rifleman in Branded.
Yeah, well, Werewolf was one of his last. I think it was his last TV series, and but if you'd like to see a different side of him, but also a cool werewolf series, it's really good. And you can find it if you really scan for it, but it's hard to find. A lot of places are selling for $150 for a set, but I found it for like $18. So,
Wow. Did any of you guys ever watch the Guns of Will Sonnet?
oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yep.
No brag, just fact.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah, that's one. I love that show, man. The guy killed it. I mean, those are some of the shows that you're like, wow, man. You want to watch some more. But you know what? One show that's been dragging. I mean, I can't believe they dragged it out this long, and they've actually launched a lot of different shows. Is the Curse of Oak Island. I mean, it's been
Oh yeah.
almost 11 years already. 10 years on the show.
Yeah, I
It's
used to watch that. I can't watch it anymore. It's just
Have
ridiculous.
they found anything yet on Oak Island?
I think one time a piece of a little chain, and they said, "Whoa, we found a piece of a little chain."
No,
But it's not-
we found a gold coin. Oh my gosh, it must be Roman.
That's like all these hunting Bigfoot TV series.
Yes.
Now they're not gonna find Bigfoot. They haven't found Bigfoot, or else it would be worldwide international news on every channel. So why even watch it? Just so you have a bunch of morons that could run around in the woods, make different sounds, and they hear a deer moving or something. Because if you've ever been in the woods at night, or when it's quiet and you hear a deer or even a squirrel moving, it's a lot. They make a lot of noise.
Oh, yeah.
And these people, I hear something. I hear it. It's got to be Bigfoot. And you run around and you're like, why am I watching this? I could go like stare at the wall or something.
Yeah. That's so true. But one thing I'm going to tell you about, the only thing they've done right now, and I think they're doing that because they're running out of things. In the Curse of Oak Island, the last 3 or 4 episodes, they had a company come in, and they're actually in one of the original wells or whatever. They're building all the way down where they're putting steps and everything. So they're actually, but then it's constantly, every time they're building something, okay, the Canadian government just stopped because and I'm like, give me a break, man. Canada has some crazy laws, but the whole thing is, okay, if it stops, don't put that on the show. Air it when you get over those hurdles. You know what I'm saying? So, but it's getting kind of lame. I'm trying to be faithful to it. I'm trying.
Yeah, you're already 11 seasons in, so you might as well stick with it, man. You're over that hump.
Yeah, but you know what I do? I put it on. I put on the episode, and a lot of times I'm doing things. I'm not paying attention just to have it on to play and then see the ending. But it gets me like every time. They found. Listen, it's done before the winter starts. So if they would have found something, it would have been all over the paper before the season began.
Yes.
Absolutely. Hey guys, I'm gonna have to break in here because we have about 2 minutes here, and I really want to get to one quick announcement at the end here before we wrap it up. Is that the Classic Horror Film Board? I believe they are no longer taking submissions for the Rondo Hatton Classic Film Awards. So as everybody knows, or if you haven't heard, we had put in for best podcast on there. So hopefully that we get on the ballot. I believe he's going to be putting out the ballot here in the next couple weeks. He has to go through so many different nominees to put on there, and it's a lot of hard work. I believe it's just him and his wife, maybe 1 or 2 other people. They do a phenomenal job out there, and as soon as the ballots come out, hopefully, we're hoping that we make at least the ballot, that we are nominated. So once the ballot comes out, I will update the forum thread, which says Vote House of the Unusual Best Podcast.
Right.
I'll put the links there. Is a link to the thread over there. So I will have the updated link once that's available. And if you're not on the Classic Horror Film Board, you'll have to make a kind of like a username on there, and then you could get the what's it called, the ballot. I'll have to look when it first comes out. I don't know if you could get the ballot if you don't have a username, but usually it's you just kind of copy and paste the ballot into an email and then check off, who you're voting for, and then send it in. And I think around April or so, he'll put out the results. But I'll keep everybody updated on the houseoftheunusual.com forum site. It'll be under Vote House of the Unusual Best Podcast, and we are urging everybody out there. Call to action. We will be encouraging everyone to vote for us Best Podcast.
Yes.
So that'll be really cool. But guys, we got to wrap it up. I want to thank everybody for joining us. Everybody out there in podcast land, thank you once again for joining us. Please spread the word of our podcast to all your friends and family. And guys, that's all we got for tonight. So good night, everyone.
Good night. God
Good
bless.
night. It was awesome.